I think I went to the very first National. I'm not sure. Somewhere around 1979 or 1980, I went with some high school friends, and we went to the LAX Marriott Hotel in Los Angeles, and we went to what was then called a convention. And we went to this baseball card show that was the biggest, most humongous card show I'd ever seen in my life. Just thousands and thousands of cards. And I remember being so overwhelmed. I think in the first 10 minutes, I bought like several hundred cards because there were so many people selling like 1970, 200 card lot, 1968, 300 card lot. So I was buying a lot of cards like instantly. And like most of us, unfortunately, I got rid of those cards as I grew up. I ended up getting them back in later years. One of the cards that I bought that day that I just recently picked up in the last few months was this 1952 Bobby Shantz card. And I can honestly tell you that that's the only card I remember buying that day, just because I can't tell you who was in the 1968 or the 1970 top slots that I bought. There might have been a 1970 Bill Mazeroski, but my memory escapes me. So I do remember buying a Bobby Shantz card that year. The one reason I bought it was because he was an MVP from that year, and I learned that from having the 1975 Topps MVP set. So I recognized the card. It only cost me $1. So that was one of the cards I bought way back then at one of the first, if not the first National. Fast forward about 15 years, 16 years, there was a National at Anaheim. And back then, Upper Deck had just come along. And they had, one year they had like a Wayne Gretzky promo card. And I never bought that, but it was worth a lot of money back then. The following year, they had these promos, and I always kept them. I have two of each. We'll just put them right up here. So they had these Joe Montana, Barry Sanders promo cards that were handed out. I stood in line for hours to get these things. I went to some, back then it was like for that National, there was some type of like opening just for people who had California resale license dealers, and somehow I got in. So I showed up and I waited in line for seriously like an hour or two just to get these cards, and Upper Deck was handing them out like they were candy. I'm going to be honest with you, I do not know if these cards are valuable. I've held on to them, and I don't collect football cards. Obviously I know who Joe Montana and Barry Sanders are, but I held on to them. And if there's anyone out there who knows anything about them, let me know. But these are some Upper Deck promos, somewhere around 1994, 95, somewhere around there. You can enlighten me. That was my memory of the National in Anaheim. I mentioned it to you in a previous video, I met Sandy Koufax and I got his autograph, and that was a wonderful experience. I did not buy any cards at that National. I don't think I was buying cards back then. I literally specifically went just to meet Sandy Koufax. So those are the only two Nationals I've been to. I haven't had the experience of going in the last few years. I am hoping maybe to go to Chicago next year. We'll see where my schedule and where my finances are. But yeah, it looks like you guys are having a good time out there. So those are a couple of my Nationals memories. Had a mail day today. I'm working on a 1957 top set. I was down to 30 cards, and I just picked up 12 more. These arrived. Some of them are from Greg Morris. Some of these are from another dealer who I honestly don't know who they are, but I thought I'd show them off to you guys before I put them in their binders. So the first card is card number 92, Mickey Vernon, first baseman for the Red Sox. The next card is a Ted Abernathy card. This card I have tried to win 3 times, and I just failed to win it on eBay, and I finally picked it up. Honestly, the only thing I remember about Ted Abernathy was one of my very first baseball cards was a 1973 Topps Ted Abernathy. By that point, he was obviously at the end of his career, and he was pitching for the Kansas City Royals. And that was one of my first baseball cards. So that's the only thing I could really tell you about Ted Abernathy. of the Senators at that point. I still need some team cards, and this one I needed. Pittsburgh Pirates. Looks like it might have been taken in front of their outfield wall. I would think that Roberto Clemente and possibly Bill Mazeroski are in there. I'm not sure about Maz because his rookie card was a 57. So I don't know if he's in this team photo. Dick Groat is probably in this team picture as well. And my next pickup is Rocky Bridges. And my only recollection of Rocky Bridges was that he was one of the coaches on the 1971 California Angels team. That's all I can tell you about him. So if you know something about him, let me know. Next up is Pedro Ramos. This was the one card I'm a little disappointed in. It is excellent to mint. The card is nice. It's centered. The corners are nice. It's almost centered. It's a little off center, but the resolution stinks. So if you look at the print for Ramos and Washington Senators, I'm probably going to have to do an upgrade on this card. But for now, I'll keep it as a placeholder. Pedro Ramos of the Washington Senators. After that is Bob Rush, pitcher for the Chicago Cubs. And up next is Don Hoak, third baseman for the Red Sox. I believe he also did play for the Pittsburgh Pirates, so if there's someone out there who can help me out on that, I think Don Hoak played on the Pittsburgh Pirates, but in this card, he plays for the Cincinnati Reds. Next up, another team card, Chicago White Sox. A lot of these 57s you'll find are slightly off-centered. It's hard to find a perfect card. I'm currently trying to find a Mickey Mantle, and it's really hard to find a Mantle that's centered even close to center. My next card is a Chuck Tanner card. Again, one of the guys I do not remember as a player. I remember him managing the White Sox and the Pirates. He won a world championship with the Pirates. Also went on to manage the Oakland A's. I don't remember him as a player. He was probably long retired by the time I started watching baseball. So here's Chuck Tanner. One more team card. The Washington Senators team card. Little snow up top up there. But still, it's a nice card, nicely centered. And I like the corners. And my next pickup, Mr. Billy Martin. That might be one of his last cards as a player on the Yankees. I think around this point, he was involved in the Copacabana incident on his birthday. There was a fight that was a little overblown. I don't think Billy Martin had anything to do with it. I think some other guys were more involved. But Billy Martin ended up getting traded at some point to Cincinnati. This card was a hard one to get. One of the things I'm noticing with with this 57 set, I'm having a really tough time getting just the starting lineup. I'm not talking about Mantle and Ford, but trying to get Tony Kubek or Bobby Richardson or Moose Skowron or Billy Martin. They cost a pretty penny. So this one I was able to get at a decent price, and I'm glad to have it. I still need a couple of more Yankee cards, but I still need Kubek and Richardson, and those are going to be hard to get. They're single prints, and they cost a lot of money. And my last card is Hall of Famer Richie Ashburn of the Philadelphia Phillies. I think I own a 1950 Bowman of Ashburn. This might be my first Topps card of his, because I do own the 53 set, but Ashburn doesn't have a 53. So Ashburn went on to have a great career with the Phillies, was eventually traded to the Cubs, and eventually picked up by the Mets in the expansion draft. I think he's the very first New York Mets All-Star representative. But that's Richie Ashburn. So those are my pickups. I am down to 18 cards in the set. I will put these in binders and start looking away for the last 18. I don't know how long this is going to take, but thanks for joining me, and I hope you guys are having a good time. If you're watching from the National, I hope you guys are going over your cards and have a wonderful time. All right, everybody, take care.